Buenos dias, ¿qué pasó, amigos? John's Moto Garage. As always, welcome back to the channel. Much thanks for the support. So today I've got a little bit of a treat for you, and I just got finished with the ride, and what I thought was going to happen, we kind of did something different, but that's cool. It's all impromptu. We don't have a script for this kind of thing. So I had a guy come by with a Road Star Warrior. This is a gentleman who had purchased the motorcycle from me a long time ago. A V-Star 650 was his first bike, and then he kind of started working his way up. So he came, let me check out the bike. We had a total blast. I let him take the Lowrider S out for a spin. I took the Warrior out for a spin, and it was my first time on a Warrior for a really long time. His first time ever on a Lowrider S. Now, one thing I always do, like Lowrider S versus Warrior, Harley versus Yamaha, and people always get on me like, dude, it's not a fair comparison, man. Like, what about price? What about this? What about the other? Truth be told, for me, when it comes down to comparison, I'll compare whatever. Like, I really don't care, dude. I'll compare an apple to an orange, a lemon to a candy bar. If we can compare it, we'll compare it. Really, it's what we have access to, and I think it's fun to do. And at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. So anyway, we chose today to compare the Lowrider S and the Warrior 1700. All right, you guys, John's Moto Garage, here we are. Check this out. I got a surprise for you. Not the street bod, we're kind of bored of that, but look at this thing here. Finally got a Yamaha Warrior. I've been looking at them for a while. This one's not mine, but a good buddy of mine who actually bought a V-Star 650 off of me a long time ago and has since gone through a handful of different bikes. He picked this up and did a few little things to it, but it is a complete monster. And believe it or not, but this is a 2002, so the first year they came out with these. And I think the only difference really is that they ended up doing a fuel injection instead of the carbureted. But otherwise, this and like the 09s, I think are pretty much the same. It amazes me how they had this 1700cc monster engine back in 2002 on this bike. It just, in my opinion, is way ahead of its time. Such an awesome motorcycle. 2-in-1 Cobra exhaust. Partiv did some aftermarket bars and grips on it. But you've got the inverted front forks. I mean, everything about these, just pure muscle bike, performance cruiser. I won't be doing it, but I've seen videos of people doing wheelies on these. Stock. So pretty powerful bike. The owner was cool enough to let me take her for a quick rip, and he's gonna take, you doing the street bob or the striker?
I'll take that
Striker. All right, he's gonna take the striker. I'm gonna be on the Warrior, and no racing. We're not doing street racing here today, just taking it easy. It's been a while since I was on one of these, so we'll see how it goes. All right, you guys, change of plans. He's taking the brand new fxdls, the Lowrider S, out, but I think these two are a little bit more in the same wheelhouse. People do wheelies on these, and people definitely do wheelies on the Lowriders. And quite frankly, I just want to see how cool that bike looks being ridden.
So front heavy.
Yeah, it's got taller forks, so it's, and with the handlebars, it definitely sits a little bit different. Thanks, brother. Oh man, I haven't been on one of these in a long time, dude. You jump on these, just the tank is massive. You got the huge drag bars. This is one of the bikes that, for having the forward controls, it's not as uncomfortable as a lot of the ones I've ridden out there. I don't know, it feels like a much more natural look to it. But we're just gonna do a quick spin. Oh yeah. Dude, this thing is a 2002. I just cannot believe it, man. I think these got kind of a bad rap for like being kind of a heavy bike, but man, he's got this thing dialed in. Jeez, I'm in love all over again. This is carbureted, but it is super dialed in. I've been looking at these for months and just haven't been able to find a good deal. They're hard to come by now. Go ahead, leave a comment, you guys. I know I'm not wearing proper riding gear. Do as I do, not as I say, but this thing actually feels really nimble and lightweight from what I remember a long time ago when I rode one. For how big it is, I mean, this thing, you could just throw it around like nothing. The thing with these that always got me is I just loved how they looked. They had like the best of everything. I thought it looked awesome. I love the ride. It's a lot smoother shifting than, you know, I love the M109R. That thing is a monster. But it's got kind of a clunkier gearbox on it, and I don't know, these Road Star Warriors, I'm a big Yamaha fan if you haven't been able to tell.
Obviously not like a solid drag race or anything, but man, this thing keeps up, dude. This is a 102 cubic inch, so 1700 cc, just a total monster of a bike. It's got that real wide rear tire, so you don't really feel like you're muscling it. I mean, I'll be honest, that lowrider S, the way it's set up, that thing will lean and everything, but it's not necessarily like the most nimble, flickable feeling motorcycle. And again, this is coming from a dude who's a total squid knobby novice. I'm not like a professional racer or anything. This is very much a Joe Schmo's impression. I gotta find one of these Warriors again. As soon as I find a good deal, I'm gonna get one for sure. They're just such awesome bikes. Man, I hadn't ridden one of these in a long time, and frankly, I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm just gonna jump off real quick, see what Party thinks of that one. I think he might warm up to it. He said initially, dude, it's so heavy. What do you think?
I like the power. I don't like the handling.
Yeah, I cannot believe how freaking nimble this thing feels.
So nimble, right?
It's ridiculous. I hadn't ridden one in so long, and it's just like... Nice little walk around here. I always knew I loved these bikes, but it had been so long since I rode one that I almost didn't even remember what it was like riding one, and now it's all coming back to me again. Such a freaking blast. Really is an awesome bike, kind of the best of all worlds. Like I was saying, it looks awesome, sounds awesome, the handling is spot on. I mean, for being a muscle bike with drag bars and forward controls, it's a lot more comfortable than some of the others that I've ridden. Again, I'm biased for sure. I definitely have always leaned towards these for one reason or another, but yeah, super stoked on this thing. Big shout out to Party for coming by and letting us take a look at this, and for letting me take it for a spin.
Right.
Yeah. Damn. Anyway, there you have it, Lowrider S and a Yamaha Road Star Warrior. I think these two definitely stack up. I mean, price-wise, yeah, there's a huge difference, but if you have a blast on one, I think you have a blast on the other. Party wasn't a huge fan though of the Harley. He's like, dude, this thing's heavy, man. I don't like the handling. So it's definitely a different feel. Jeez. So obviously this and the Lowrider S, two very different motorcycles, but both monster muscle house cruisers in my opinion. So for that reason, I do the comparison. Hey, when I do my comparisons, I don't need them to be it's the exact same bike. Man, this thing is comfortable. The suspension on my lowrider is super stiff. This feels like a nice little pillow, but not squishy, you know? Man. We'll let some of these cars go first. Hey, that thing looks cool though. You gotta admit, the Harley looks cool. Hey, are you getting used to it? It's fun when you get used to it, huh? I think it's starting to grow on him. I mean, that's the thing, like every single bike is so different, and you've got your pros and cons to each. So when you can find that perfect balance of something that you personally like, and you enjoy how the ride is, and you think it's comfortable, and it just, you know, it's got to tick your boxes. That's what it's all about. It's not about making somebody else happy. It's for you, man. So find what works for you. Yeah, this thing just floats, man. These Warriors, it's with good reason that I always enjoyed these, and I won't dare try wheelie on this, but I'm pretty sure it feels like it'd be doable. Hey, you got me. It's a cool looking motorcycle. All right, I want to get some clips of him riding the bike. Ooh, man, this thing feels crazy compared to that Warrior. Holy smokes. Yeah. This thing, I swear, it is ridiculous. This thing wants to wheelie like a sport bike, it really does. The handling is nothing like that Warrior. I mean, it really is. They're, you know, two different bikes for two different purposes. Man, that thing, the Warrior, man, they've got good lines for sure. Sit up on my tank so I can see over this windscreen. Man, that's a pretty bike. That's a motorcycle cop. I need to go get some gas. I'm gonna run out of gas on this thing. I was totally hitting the rev limiter on this. Definitely need some gas. Crazy going from that to this. That thing feels like a feather, you know? It's just, and it's so smooth, the shifting and the, yeah, that's like a float. This one has real stiff suspension too. You feel every little bump. Alright guys, big shout out for Partiv just rolling by and for letting us take that Warrior for a joyride. That thing is, that's a fun bike for sure. And I know he'd been looking at one for a while. Hey, so final thoughts on the Harley, what do you think?
Handling. I didn't like the handling.
Yeah.
It's front heavy. This is equally distributed, nice.
Yeah. Well balanced.
Right.
Hey, thanks a bunch, man. Okay. Ride safe.
See you around.
Stay in touch. Yeah. For sure. All right, you guys. So my final, concluding thoughts on that Yamaha Road Star Warrior versus Dyna Lowrider S. Dude, we're just gonna start comparing every motorcycle we can get our hands on. Unless there's like some comparison police out there who's gonna come by and stop me, I think that's what we're gonna do. So Warrior versus Harley Lowrider fxdls. When he showed up, I didn't plan on doing that. I actually planned on doing a walk around of the Warrior and the M109R, but he had to take off, and these are the bikes we took out. But I rode the Warrior, then I jumped on and rode this thing, and obviously I own this bike. I just paid a pretty penny for it and flew out to Austin to pick it up. But it is truly amazing to me how much motorcycle you get with the Warrior at a fraction of the price, and I'm always talking in the used market. Handling wise on that thing, I mean, that thing felt so nimble and flickable and agile compared to this one here in terms of just, overall ergonomics and all that. Obviously the Lowrider S, I've seen some people do some gnarly stuff out in the canyons, ripping around on this thing. Once you get used to the feel of the Harley, it's like nothing else, but it's personal preference. But yeah, hands down, that Warrior, very comfortable bike, fast bike, real torquey and punchy, a lot of bike for the money. And hey, I'd be happy to have one sit in my garage. I've been looking, but They're hard to come by these days. And so the two side by side, there you have it. You guys draw your own conclusion. Which one would you rather mob around on? You know, you got to take everything into account. And I'm gonna do a little second gear wheelie action here, just show you how ridiculous this thing is. I mean, if that's not crazy, I don't know what is. That's in second gear. I was telling everybody, I'm like, dude, this thing wheelies in second easier than my bike does in first. That being the street bob. That's the one thing where this bike has it that no other cruiser I've jumped on has it. Is, I mean, this is like an FZ09 in the body of a Dyna. Fits like a glove. All right, there you have it, you guys. John's Moto Garage, the FZ09 version of the Harley Davidson, in terms of just being able to barely crack the throttle and that front wheel comes up like nobody's business. And then over here we have the, sorry bro, you're really gonna have to put some effort in to figure out how the heck to get that front wheel up version, being the street bob. But I'm starting to crack the code on this bike, so I'm gonna keep at it. There's something to be said for putting a little bit of work in and figuring it out, you know. All right, guys, John's Moto Garage. I guess we'll hit you up on the next one. Adios.